today on AGA's podcast. Today I have Tom Richards, who is president of Richards Regenerative. He has a new venture to talk about today that's really exciting, going to be available to the public soon. How about you go ahead and tell us all about it?
Sure. Thanks, Patuli. So what I'm here to talk about today is it's a software application that we developed as we were running our beef business called Richards Regenerative. And over basically 10 years, we kept developing and adding and piecing together this software application to run our beef operation and our cattle business together. And so eventually what we created is a platform for running actually it could be not just necessarily a regenerative beef and cattle operation. You could use it to run any actual livestock operation, including pigs or sheep or what have you. And so we created this amazing platform, and then we decided about a year ago to take that intellectual property, take it out of the beef company, and create a new company that we call Harvest Path. And so that's what I'm here to talk with you about, because we're going to be taking that product and putting it on something called the App Exchange, which is provided by the company Salesforce. And it's basically like the Apple App Store, but for business applications. So we're going to be taking the application that we've built, we're going to be putting that on the App Exchange, and we're going to be making it available for companies like us, companies in the livestock and beef business to purchase and use for their businesses.
That's awesome. Super exciting. Can you tell us a little bit about your background and what led you to develop Harvest Path?
Yeah, it's funny. So my background is I grew up in Sacramento. My family was in food processing and farming and ranching, and our ranch called Richards Land and Cattle has been in the family for over 80 years. And so I grew up in this agriculture environment and coming to the ranch and working cattle and all these things. But when it came, time when I graduated from college, I went a different direction. I ended up in the technology space. And then I ended up at Salesforce a long time ago and spent a number of years helping companies improve their business processes and basically taking their operations and putting them into software so that they can run their businesses more efficiently. And so 10 years ago, when we started this business, it actually started over an argument. We were all sitting here at the ranch arguing about how many cows we had. and it was ridiculous, but typical, right? When you don't have a tried and true system for tracking your animals. Of that argument, I just said to the family, look, I know how to put these things together. We'll just start, we'll use the Salesforce platform and we'll start tracking the animals. And so basically that's what was the impetus to start it. And then we were really just going to use it to track cattle. And then in the early part of our beef business, we got involved in a recall, or basically one of the slaughter plants that we used got shut down by the USDA. Luckily, we only had a couple of animals that went through that facility, but we had that we knew, some of them with tens of thousands of pounds of product quarantined. And so that really spooked us. And then I started thinking about how to take the system that we developed for tracking animals and take it to the next step, which is tracking the harvest, tracking the inventory, and then all the bits and pieces that go along with that. So that was kind of the impetus. It just developed over time as more just started putting those things in.
How would you say Harvest Path really helps ranchers streamline their operations and make data-driven decisions when they're in the program?
Great question. So the one thing, well, I can tell you what people that are prospective customers that we've shown this to have said. And what they've said is that some people viewed it as a filing cabinet for everything that you do, right? So it has, the animals in there, the products that you're selling, the inventory that you're selling. It has the cost metrics, the margins, the prices that you charge by product. So it has all these things. And so the real benefit is being able to look at your business end to end, right? So
Mhm.
you're able to say, um, what is the average carcass weight of all the animals that we're processing, and what is our best performing carcass weight? Like, if these weights, we get this price, and here's the margin. And so you can really start to look at that and zero in on your best performing metrics. And then you can start pivoting and looking at your business and going, okay, our best performing carcasses in terms of the price and the yield and is 685 pounds or 720 pounds or whatever it is. And
Mhm.
then you can start to communicate with your team members about, okay, here's the metric that we need, and here's the best profit margin. The other thing is just being able to look at those numbers and realize, okay, we're losing money or we're making money, and isn't that great? But more importantly, identifying very quickly that you are losing money so that you can make adjustments.
Mhm.
And the other thing too is, when things come up, like we noticed diesel prices were going up, and we also noticed that salespeople were, in order to get the sale, negotiating on shipping, and like, oh, well, we'll cover shipping. And then we realized that, and we said, hey, well, hold on. That is going to have a really big negative impact on our margin. We need to push for not for the customer to cover shipping. And so we implemented the ability to track that cost in every opportunity, and then to factor it as a minus, right, to the overall revenue. And so in doing that, and then basically creating dashboards so you see it on a daily basis every month. What are our shipping charges that we're paying? And then I incented the salespeople to not do that. And so then I could just watch shipping costs go down and down and down and down and down. So the benefits are, it's having the data at your fingertips so that you can make business decisions that will improve your profitability.
Yeah.
And that's just one example of 100 things that you have visibility to, and you can make business decisions,
Yeah.
um,
No,
to
and
impact
I totally
profitability.
agree how helpful that would be from a business standpoint. Could you talk a little bit to how easy this could be for a rancher to adopt this into their existing workflow?
Sure. Well, if you think about it, we developed this thing as a bunch of people in this industry.
Mhm.
So we developed it for how we work and all the things that we do. So it's kind of like a custom system for people who manage livestock and people who sell beef. And so what we're finding is that, for somebody to start using the product, it operates the way they operate, right? Because it was built by people in their industry. So implementing it into their workflow, what we find is oftentimes, because we're in the industry and we built it for the industry, our workflow is almost identical to how all these other people do their business. And the other aspect too is that this business has a lot of regulation, and
Mhm.
because of that, you have to do these things certain ways. So we've built the product with the regulations in mind, and everybody has to follow the same regulations. So when you think about how the system basically operates the way the industry operates. So when somebody new starts to use the product or look at the product, they look at it and go, wow, this is exactly how I operate my business.
That's
And
awesome. Yeah.
so it's built, by people in the industry for the industry. So in terms of new people using it, we're designing it in a way that it's set and ready to go from the moment it's activated for you.
Yeah,
right? And so it's already built with your workflow in mind,
that's
if that
awesome.
makes sense.
Yeah, that seems so valuable. I love that you guys put that thought in mind and made it simple enough for a rancher to just kind of understand. I mean, now that we're talking about it, do you want to dive into the actual program itself and kind of show some screenshots?
Sure.
Awesome.
Well, I can show you a couple screenshots, and then we can jump into the product if you want.
Awesome.
Um,
And for those of you that are listening, we will have the video on YouTube, so you can go watch this as well over there.
so what we started with was animal tracking, and so these are a couple screenshots of some of the detail information that we track for animals. And then if you look over here on this side, we also have all of the related items or data to the animal. So an animal, right, will be in a herd. And so you can group animals into herds. And then by grouping them into herds, you can manage activities and things like that at a group level instead of at an individual level. But all of that data kind of filters down to the individual animal. So we can put those animals into herds. We can actually even track roundups. Like, so when you're bringing them in and you put them in the chute and you're doing stuff to them, you can manage those interactions. As well, you can manage things like healthcare. So if an animal, if you gave it a vaccine, or if it did have to have antibiotics because it was sick, you can track that and then make decisions about, pulling that animal out of your program if it's not supposed to have antibiotics or what have you. But you have that data and you can track it in real time. But you can also do things in groups and then also do mass kinds of updates and things like that. So it's fairly robust animal tracking,
Yeah, definitely.
if that makes sense. So this is how we started. And then, as I mentioned earlier, as we started to um, realize that we could do much more, we started to expand, and so we started to create what we called lots, or several different kinds of lots. So we have what we call a harvest lot, which is where you're going to process animals. We also have purchase lots when you're buying animals. We have sale lots for when you're selling animals. So you're able to group them together, manage the pricing and costing and grazing fees and all these different things related to that. Um, and then get metrics, things like the live animal cost per pound, the yields that you get, like live to carcass or carcass to boxed, and all sorts of data relative to the harvest. And then also we're able to connect the inventory, we're able to connect it to the lot. So then we have traceability of the inventory and what product it is and the cost and pricing information. And then we can trace that back to, or the harvest lot. And then we can trace that back to the animal, back to the ranch, back to the herd, back. So it's all interconnected.
Yeah, very well
And
run.
then, yeah, and then it even goes further, right? So we're able to track the inventory and different warehousing locations. We even took it a step further and started doing secondary fabrication. So oftentimes you'll have an animal that gets slaughtered, and then you have box beef after that, and sometimes you'll sell that box beef, but then other times you'll transport that to another processor who will do that secondary processing that we termed fabrication into finished goods, like CPG steaks and, labeled products. And so we also enable the tracking of that secondary fabrication and the costs related to that. And then the sale and delivery to the customer. And then the other thing too is the system has very robust dashboarding and reporting capability. So this is just an example of an older dashboard from a couple of years back that we did just so that we could, at a glance, look at, what are our animal sources and how many did we buy from this place, that place, or how many did we raise, all these kinds of things. What was the cost of the animals, how much did we spend, um, what is the average yield, what's the average live weight, all these different things. We're able to roll these up into dashboards so that you can see this stuff at a high level. And this is just one example
Yeah.
of uh, of dashboards that we've created in the system. But the idea here is that when a customer buys Harvest Path, a bunch of these dashboards are going to be pre-built so that when somebody goes and inputs their data, they're going to be able to click on a already pre-built dashboard that'll show their information in this format.
That's
And the
awesome.
good news is, the other thing too is, if a customer comes to us and says, "Hey, it would be really cool if you could build a dashboard like this," and we say, "Great, yeah, we can do that." So we build that, and then we can make it available to every customer.
Yeah, that's
So
awesome.
then
Very
yeah,
custom.
the idea that one ranch has can help every other ranch, um, you know, benefit
Yeah.
from that knowledge, or that way of looking at data, or what have you. So that's the other neat thing about being an industry specific app, is anything that we build, or any ideas that come from people that they need, we build it into the product and everybody gets it. So it really helps the entire industry elevate their game, if you will.
Yeah. No, I
Makes
think
sense.
it's super exciting. I love that it's so customizable and that you guys are like willing to make adjustments throughout this development process for anybody and hopefully benefit a lot of different people in the industry. So it's really exciting.
Yeah.
Did you want to dive into the program a little bit or what are you thinking?
I'm going to go to the home screen first, and then I'll go to, essentially we built this thing in a couple pieces. And we built an animal management application that we call Animal Compliance. And then we have these two apps right here that really are essentially one. So it's inventory management and warehousing, and then what we call protein sales, which is basically the selling and pricing um, and managing delivery and all those kinds of things.
Mhm.
So the animal compliance piece is what I talked about, and I showed you that screenshot of the system. I'll
Mhm.
show you here. This is kind of what it looks like.
Yeah.
So if you notice, there's um, home tab across the top, what accounts and contacts, right? Accounts could be your customers, your ranches, any other partners that you work with. Contacts are the people. Here's your animal herds, roundups, healthcare. We can track feed and feed supplements. So, for example, American Grass Fed Association audit, right? So we can track all that information, and upload all the certifications and documents and all those kinds of things that we have. So, if we look at an animal, we'll look at a steer here that we processed. So this is kind of the detailed information that we looked at before.
Mhm.
This animal has been processed, and it was from our partner, my cousin's ranch, called Jess Valley Land and Cattle. And this is our purchase information. So we have connected to this animal is its purchase record. And then we roll up the price and the purchase weight. We can also track pedigree information, breeding information if we want to track lineage,
Mhm.
um, or purebreds and things like that, and registration numbers. And then here's our harvest information. So here's that lot number tracking that we talked about. Here's the individual animal's hanging weight and its yield. And then actually, we're actually going to start, for us, as our beef company, we're going to start actually tracking the U.S. or getting the animals graded, the carcasses graded. So we haven't actually been using this field, but we're going to be starting to use that pretty soon.
Awesome.
And then if you look at the related, if we go over here to related items, you'll be able to see, okay, here's the herd membership. If this was a female, we could track its offspring. Um, there's the roundups, and then here's the vaccinations that were given.
Awesome.
So this is just an example of one animal that we track. Um, and then if we want to go back to the detail and you want to see, so then we roll up these animals and we do a harvest. And so I can jump into the harvest here real quick. And that goes to, that essentially is kind of like jumping into the harvest and sales and processing side of the application.
Mhm.
But that's the nice thing about this. It's all one system. It's not multiple. So you can use all the different pieces, whether or not you're in the animal compliance app or whether you're in the sales app, you can kind of bounce back and forth if you're using both.
That's
Okay.
all.
So then, what we do is we create a harvest lot and then we roll up or we connect or relate all of the animals that we processed. And then when we load the inventory is connected here as well. So we have connection of the inventory to the animal, and then they're both of those data points are related to this harvest lot. So we have connectivity of the harvest lot to the animal, to the inventory, and that's our traceability,
That's
if
awesome.
that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I think it makes a lot of sense, and it seems like very well rounded and customizable to each person in a way as well to make sure that it's working. Thank you for diving into this. I think this is going to be such an amazing benefit
Sure.
to the producers that are in AGA, and I think that this is going to be super valuable resource as you continue to grow it over time as well. I guess just to kind of wrap things up, do you want to let us know where to find you and when this will be available and kind of give all those details so our members can find you?
Thank you for asking about where to contact us. So we do have our first iteration of our website that we just launched. It is harvestpath.co, and it is very basic at the moment. And essentially, what it has is high level descriptions of the solutions that we're providing. So if you can see here, I'm kind of scrolling through the high level diagrams and then kind of the product offerings. And there's three components of that. There is the livestock management portion, processing and production. So the slaughter and then production of meat products, and then inventory management and sales. So those are kind of the three areas that were um, highlighted on on the website. And then if you go to the contact and you submit your email address, then we can put you on our mailing list and we can let you know kind of where we're at as we get closer to version 1 launch. And we estimate that to be probably in January. But there is a chance that we may launch this piece by piece. So portions of this could come a little bit earlier, and we're making those decisions as we speak. So that is where to contact us from the website. But also we also launched a Instagram page, and it's a very fledgling Instagram page. It's Harvest Path _AG is the um, uh, the name of that page. And again, as we start getting developments to share, we're going to share those there. So please follow us on Instagram as well. And then also, we do have a LinkedIn page that I'm going to be starting, but I haven't built that yet. So stay tuned for a LinkedIn page as well. As I mentioned, you can go to the Contact Us page, and then you can fill out your name and your email, and provide us a message of what you're interested in particularly, or just send me a direct email. My email's right here, tom.richards5@harvestpath.co. It's not .com. That's not a typo. It's on purpose. It's .co. And then my phone number, 415-637-7756, and you can reach me directly. I'll add one more thing too, just so that people can ponder this, and then also contact us about this as well. Um, One of the things that we're also putting into this is tracking of impact. So, as a member of AGA and as a member of the Savory Institute, we're tracking tracking our carbon to the dirt, right? And that information we're going to be putting in the system as well, so that people can track their impact and connect that to their animals and their product. So when they're actually going to sell their product, they can say, wow, this product has sequestered this many pounds of carbon, et cetera. There's a lot of things that we're doing relative to that, and then also relative to nutrients in the actual beef product. So if people are, and I know lots of people in this space are working with that kind of data. And if they're interested in what we're doing in that respect too, I can talk to them about that as well.
Great. Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you so much for taking the time today to dive into this with us, and we appreciate it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for the time. I really appreciate it. And we really appreciate the partnership with AGA that we've had for 10 years. And it's just, you guys are a great organization. So thank you.
Well, thank you.